everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Peace and Purpose Podcast. I'm your host, Corbin Elliott, and today is a lovely day. I just wanted to continue talking about the theme of work and how we can enjoy work a little bit better. And continuing with the idea, I don't want, initially at least, we can talk about ways if things really aren't working and we need to make a move, but I'd rather us just try to fix where we are. Stay there, and maybe I can give you some techniques to be happier where you currently are. And just some things that I found that I find just helpful. And it helps me to have more positive emotions while I'm doing the work that I do and all those different things. So, perfect. All right. So, today we're going to talk about how important it is to be able to express how you feel. And simultaneously, whenever you say that, feel like the person you're talking to actually understands what you're going through. To feel like you aren't alone in that feeling, which is really crucial. I see this a lot. That is such a soothing thing to know, that you aren't the only one, you aren't some outsider who is the only one that's experienced this before. There's a bond and there's a sense of ease that comes with someone getting you and seeing you, and you being able to express the full realm of emotions and experiences that you're having. Okay, so how do we make this happen? Like that sounds lovely, Corbin, but how does this actually track into the real world, into my real life? Well, response to you. So here's what I recommend. I recommend you finding someone close to you, someone that after I tell you this, how to do it, or the things you look for and how it works, I recommend you looking for someone that is good for that, is good for these steps I'm about to give you. And just coming up with them and having an open conversation, or even showing them this video and saying, I think that if we both got on the same track with this, we could both benefit a lot by being able to talk with one another and express ourselves and to feel understood. Like this could really work both ways. It could be a great relationship, and we could both benefit a lot. So, cool. So there's two parties here. There's a speaker, and then there's a listener. The problem that tends to come up here, or at least the biggest thing that involves jumping a gap, is that the listener, and the reason that people don't talk about, the not so good things that are happening with them, is the listener doesn't want, or the speaker doesn't want the listener to think less of them because they had a certain emotion or an experience, or they did a certain thing. They don't want to be thought less of in a social context. And as a result, we generally don't open up or talk about the things that aren't so pretty and nice about ourselves. The problem is, this is a major mechanism in feeling better about the things. So if we don't do that, if we get too scared because we're afraid that people are going to think less of us, it backfires horribly, and those feelings continue to stick around, and we continue to have more and more negative emotions sort of spiraling up and snowballing as we continue to work, maybe, because we haven't actually expressed those things and we don't feel understood on those things. So it gets worse, progressively worse and worse and worse in the way that we feel while we're, going through experiences and we're getting triggered and having those negative emotions. It continues to get worse. So it's really important that we have an environment in which the speaker, the person expressing themselves, doesn't feel like, they don't have the fear of being judged. Like, they don't expect that. And by judged, I mean the person that they're speaking to formulates a negative opinion about them, and maybe they like them less, or they think of them as less of a worthy person, So that's our central problem. So how do we really get around that problem? So I think the most important thing is it has to really start with the listener. So the listener, through actions and things they say and, things they sort of embody in that way, they can lessen the fear that they will judge the speaker, and that makes it easier for the speaker to begin to speak. And, as we do that more, it becomes easier and easier and easier to speak up and express ourselves to that person. But it starts with the listener, decreasing that fear metric of being talked to and listening. So I think the way that we genuinely do this, because we could tell them, oh, I'm not going to judge you, I'm not going to think less of you, and we can say the words, and whenever we respond, maybe we say, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. But in our body language, the other person will pick up on that, and in the future, subconsciously, will not speak about it. There will be a hang up there unless there's a real change that happens. So the way that I suggest making that change is getting a better grip on the human experience and better understanding, oh, we actually are really alike in this. It's oh, I actually had this common experience. We all have very similar needs, very similar desires, very similar wants, actually, more similar than we probably think that these things are between two individuals. And our ability to go, oh, to put ourselves in their shoes, this is called empathy. This is talked about a lot. Being able to really to put ourselves in their perspective and feel the way that they feel, that really helps us to go, oh, I've really felt the same way. So practicing empathy, and I think the best way to do that is to realize how really alike we are, and to really dive into understanding the human condition that is fundamentally same across a lot of people, across all of us. I would argue about what we need and what we want, and the emotions that we have in a super shared way. So I think that's really important. It's really important for both parties to, address this initially and go, hey, I think this would really work well, after seeing this video or seeing something else on the internet and going, oh, well, we should probably have this relationship and talk more like this. And we can do this in a way that we don't feel afraid to do so. So, doing this. And I think by opening up that door, and this is my experience. I've had this recently. I make this content based off of the experiences I just had, and if something's helpful, I come and present it to you. And that's exactly what this is. I notice whenever I have an environment wherever I feel like, and I have one relationship right now that this is getting better. I'm getting more comfortable sharing more, not the pretty side of myself in it. And it's really helpful. So that's really good. And I really would recommend you, like I said from the beginning of the video, going and talking to someone and saying, just bringing it up and saying, hey, this is what this crazy dude on YouTube said. And talking to them about it and saying, hey, let's try it. Let's try. Here's the things that he says we need. And please look elsewhere too. There's some great therapists and psychologists that talk about this on the internet. And bring it up to them and just start trying it and see if you can diminish that fear and really open up with someone. I think it can do big things, and it will help you to feel better when you're at work and these frustrating things, these stressful things, these things that make you angry come up. It'll help you to not feel as bad because you've processed and you've expressed these other emotions. And believe it or not, that is actually the thing that stops the snowball from getting worse and worse and worse. So, great. Guys, as usual, subscribe, drop a like, comment, if you're on Apple Podcasts or if you're on Spotify, give me a review. I really want to hear how I'm doing, actually, with you guys. See how well I'm connecting and how well I'm helping you. And please take this out into the world, even more than subscribing or whatever. That's great. That helps me a lot. But the thing that really makes me feel good is if you guys actually take it out into the world and use it and do it. And it takes, a level of emotional courage. So I understand that it's difficult. So, but it's totally worth it if you can bring this relationship to life. So perfect. Guys, I will see you in the next one. This was lovely as usual, and I hope you have a fantastic day. All right, bye-bye.